Let's go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first chapter of 10-Minute Spotlight on AI and Sales Leadership. My name is Liat Netanel, and I'm an account director focused on helping my customers achieve their goals by leveraging sales methodologies and technology solutions. In each episode, I ask 3 questions to leading sales leaders, uncovering lessons, best practices, and tips that can help you become more efficient and effective, whether you are a sales leader or a rep in the field. Today, I'm delighted to host Amichai Lesser, Head of Sales at Liat. Amichai, introduce yourself before we dive into the questions.
Hi, Liat. Really excited to be here. Thanks for hosting me. I'm Amichai. I'm currently the head of sales of one of the product groups at Liat. For those of you who are not familiar with Liat helps customers get the most out of their cloud. It has 3 product groups: Cloud Ops, that packages all the cloud services customers will need to succeed; FinOps, that helps customers manage their cloud costs; and Perfect Scale, which helps customers optimize their Kubernetes environments. And I'm the head of sales for the Perfect Scale product group.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time in joining us today, and welcome on board. As we will cover the same 3 questions designed to bring practical, actionable insights that you can use right away. Let's jump in. So the first question is, what's the one AI tool you use daily that has been a real game changer? And if you can share an example.
Excellent question, Liat, because there's really a lot of hype when it comes to AI and go-to-market. For example, I listened to Jason Lemkin on SaaStr, and he talks about amazing outcomes from implementing AI for outbound, implementing AI for inbound. And I want to get to that reality, but I think in order to make this happen at a company, you really need the whole company to be bought into that transformation. So until that happens, I use AI more tactically. And the main outcome I get from AI is freeing me up from dependencies that would otherwise slow me down. Simple things like dependencies on slide designers, through more complex dependencies on legal counsel or security consultants or translators. So I prepared a couple of examples. The first one is around slide design. And I'll start by saying again, I'm probably the world's worst designer of slides. I'm always jealous of the type of slides other people are able to generate. But with the help of AI, I can at least get to something that is satisfactory. And I create slides on a daily basis, whether it's for customer proposals, customer presentations, and as well as internal training. So the example I'm going to share is one for internal training for the team. So let me quickly share that. So this weekend, I read this article in one of my favorite places to consume content, which is LinkedIn. And this article is very timely. It's how to help your AEs close their large deals in Q3 by kind of coaching their champion to sell with them. Very timely. We're in the middle of Q3. We have a lot of deals on the table where you don't want to just send a slide and hope that your champion will kind of get it done. So I found this article to be very informative, and I wanted to turn this into a learning moment for the team. So in the past, I would just kind of send them the link and say, read this, very interesting. But like I said, I wanted to make this a teachable moment. So I decided to turn this into a slide deck. So the first thing I did is I took the article and I copy pasted it into Claude. And I asked it to basically merge these teaching lessons with the context of Perfect Scale. So it created a very detailed document with a specific 9-step plan to how to close deals in the context of Perfect Scale with the relevant personas and so on. And then I asked it to take this and turn it into a beautiful slide deck. And in the past, this would have taken me hours to create and probably would have come out very unaesthetically. But in a couple of minutes, I was able to get this beautiful 9-step close plan if you're sending decks and waiting for decisions, you're not selling, you're hoping. So I think that's like a very nice tagline.
Nice.
And all I have to do is now take this, move it into my template, and I can present it to the team this weekend on our team call.
Brilliant. Great
Uh,
example. Very actionable.
yeah, thank you. Now, the second example is a bit more complex. About a year ago, we got an RFP from a French company. And this is a very traditional French company. So the entire RFP, 12 different documents, all written in French, I think a total of about 70 pages. And we were advised by the prospect that, if we don't have a local French team that's helping us respond to the RFP, our chances are going to be very low because, again, all the documentation was in French. The response had to be in French. It had to be relevant kind of to the French market and how French RFP responses need to look like. And at the time, this was before Perfect Scale was acquired by Do It. So we were still, a startup with very limited funding and resources. We couldn't really afford to hire a local team that can help us with translating and respond to the RFP according to the local French expectation. So what we ended up doing instead is we took the RFP, and you can see this is like this is one part of the RFP, 40-page document, all in French, redacted all the customer sensitive information from it, and basically asked Gemini to give us a summary in English of the RFP, break it down into specific sections. Then we answered the RFP in English and gave it back to Gemini and asked for a French translation of it according to local French market expectations. And long story short, we ended up winning the RFP, and we have a very happy customer for over a year now with the thanks of AI.
Nice. Brilliant. Bridging the gap of languages and expertise. So
Exactly.
good.
Yep.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm jumping to the next question. So, what is the one thing you do to help your team close deals faster?
Also a very timely question, as we're kind of, again, in the midst of Q3 with a lot of deals on the table. And I would say, most inexperienced sellers mistakenly assume that towards the end of the sales cycle, that price is the number one consideration for making a decision on the customer side. And in reality, as you get closer to a deal, or as a buyer gets closer to making a decision, their biggest concern is actually not price. It's risk mitigation. They suddenly have almost pre-buyer remorse. They'll start to ask themselves, what if I made the wrong decision? What if this implementation will not succeed? How can I eliminate some of the risk involved here? So the best way I can help my team kind of get those deals at those stages over the line is by instilling confidence with the buyer that they're making the right decision and that the implementation will be successful. This is typically done by a combination of things we're introducing the customer to, including our CSM team and how they are going to help them from the kickoff to value realization with the implementation. It's potentially with suggesting to speak with reference customers that have already successfully implemented the solution. And sometimes it's me joining the call and providing that narrative. Sometimes it's the CSMs joining the call and kind of creating the vision of what the post-implementation reality could look like. And that has proven to be a very successful way to help my team close more deals.
For sure. It's like bringing the future into the present kind of thing.
Exactly. Helping them manifest what a successful implementation will look like.
Totally. Totally. And the third question is, if you were hiring tomorrow, what's the one skill you want to see in a potential sales rep?
Also a very timely question because we just finished in Q2 pretty much tripling my team in size. So I've done a lot of interviews and a lot of hiring in the last 3 months. But before I answer your question directly, let me sidestep a second, because one interesting thing that happened is we were interviewing, and I was hiring for different functions, CSM, solution engineers, but mostly for AEs. And in the AE candidate pool, we got I would say, a disproportionately high number of BDRs and SDRs trying to make kind of their next career move, moving from BDR, SDR to AE. And unfortunately, the odds are stacked against them, because any sales leader that's hiring AEs is looking for sellers that have experience in actually closing deals. And most BDRs and SDRs, as talented as they are, have a lot of experience on the acquisition side, on how to kind of book a first meeting and getting someone interested, but they don't have a lot of experience in actually closing deals. So I would say for those situations, my best advice to SDRs and BDRs that want to make that jump is rather than hoping you can make like an internal upward move by applying, try this first. Go to your manager or go to one of the sales leaders and say, hey, I want to advance my career. I want to get a shot at becoming an AE. Can you give me a chance to get some experience in closing deals? Give me some of the smallest deals that the team is working on, or some of the smallest leads, and give me a chance to try to close them. And after you get a couple of wins under your belt, then you're ready to try to either make the internal lateral move or apply for outside AE opportunities. So that's just on the topic of SDRs and BDRs, because again, I've got a chance to interview a lot of them, and it's always kind of, I almost feel bad for them because they don't really have a chance until they get that type of experience. Now, back to your question, when it comes to experienced AEs, what am I looking for? So I would say the one skill I'm hiring for, or I'm looking for in an experienced AE, is curiosity. And there's some logic behind that. A good way to explain this is if you take two similarly qualified AEs, they have similar communication skills, similar rapport building, they know the sales cycle in and out. The AE that will have an edge out of those two is the one that has what I call situational fluency. And situational fluency, in my mind, means two things. It doesn't mean you have to be like a technical expert. You don't have to be a solution architect or a cloud architect. But you do need to understand in detail, the benefit that your solution delivers to the customers, not at a technical level, but at the business outcome level. And the other side, understanding what a day in a life in your prospect looks like. And in order to develop that situational fluency, you have to be very curious. You have to generally ask questions around what business outcomes are you looking for, what's holding you back, what challenges are you facing trying to get to those business outcomes. And if you're not really curious, if you're just checking the box, you'll never develop that situational fluency. So essentially, curiosity is one of those skills that I'm looking for when I'm hiring.
Yeah, and the good thing is that curiosity is something that you can genuinely have. Like experience you'll get with time, curiosity is something that you just need to have. So you have it or you don't.
Absolutely, and it's one of those things that AI can't replace yet.
Thank God. And on that positive note, thank you so much, Amichai, for sharing your experience and expertise with us today. I'm positive and sure that our listeners will walk away with practical insights that they can apply right away. And for all of you, the listeners, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next chapter of 10 Minutes Spotlight on AI and Sales Leadership.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Bye.